Mary Shelley is a literary titan who stood at the crossroads of genius and tragedy, forging a legacy that still haunts us today. Her life was a maelstrom of love, loss, and creative fervor, marked by the birth of a monster that would outlive her, Frankenstein's creature, a symbol of our deepest fears and darkest hopes. Mary Shelley's early life was a crucible of intellect and emotion, forged in the fires of her parents' radical ideas and personal tragedies. Born on August 30, 1797, to William Godwin and Mary Wollstonecraft, she inherited a legacy of philosophical fervor and feminist conviction. Her mother, a pioneering writer and advocate for women's rights, died just 10 days after giving birth, leaving Mary with a sense of loss that would later inform her writing. Growing up in a household that valued knowledge and encouraged free thinking, Mary was exposed to a wide range of intellectual pursuits, from literature to science and philosophy. Her father, a prominent thinker and writer, ensured that she received a comprehensive education, which included studying the works of the old masters, such as Shakespeare and Milton. This foundation in classical literature would later influence her own writing style and thematic concerns. As a young woman, Mary was drawn to the intellectual circles of London, where she met notable figures like Lord Byron and Percy Bysshe Shelley, who would become her husband. These relationships not only shaped her personal life, but also influenced her literary ambitions. The Shelleys' shared love of nature, poetry, and radical politics created a fertile ground for Mary's creative growth. It was during a fateful summer in 1816, while vacationing with friends near Lake Geneva, that Mary conceived the idea for Frankenstein. The story goes that Byron, Shelley, and their companions engaged in a writing challenge, each attempting to craft a ghost story. Mary's contribution would eventually become the iconic novel that has captivated readers for centuries. This pivotal moment marked the beginning of Mary's literary career, one that would be characterized by exploration of the human condition, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and the complexities of love and loss. Her writing would also reflect her fascination with science, philosophy, and the natural world, as seen in Frankenstein's creature, a being both monstrous and sympathetic. The historical context in which Mary wrote was marked by significant social, scientific, and cultural changes. The Industrial Revolution was transforming the landscape of England, and the Romantic movement was redefining the boundaries of art and literature. Mary's work would engage with these developments, questioning the consequences of human innovation and the role of the individual in society. As Mary Shelley navigated her teenage years, she found herself drawn to the intellectual and artistic circles of London, where she met notable figures like Lord Byron and Percy Bysshe Shelley. It was during this time that she began to develop her own writing style, heavily influenced by the Romantic movement and the works of the old masters. Her father, William Godwin, played a significant role in fostering her literary ambitions, introducing her to prominent thinkers and writers of the time. Mary's relationship with Percy Bysshe Shelley was particularly pivotal, as it not only shaped her personal life but also had a profound impact on her writing. Their conversations about science, philosophy, and literature would later inform the themes and ideas explored in her major works. One of the most significant events in Mary's life was the summer of 1816, when she and Percy, along with Lord Byron and John William Polidori, embarked on a fateful vacation near Lake Geneva. It was during this trip that Mary conceived the idea for Frankenstein as part of a writing challenge posed by Byron. The story goes that each member of the group was tasked with crafting a ghost story, and Mary's contribution would eventually become the iconic novel that has captivated readers for centuries. The time spent at Lake Geneva was marked by intense intellectual discussions, poetic readings, and long walks in the surrounding countryside. These experiences would later seep into her writing as she explored the complexities of human nature, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and the consequences of playing God. The natural beauty of the Swiss landscape also had a profound impact on Mary's work, as she often used the environment to reflect the inner turmoil and emotions of her characters. As Mary delved deeper into her writing, she began to explore themes that would become hallmarks of her literary style: the struggle between reason and emotion, the power of nature, and the complexities of human relationships. Her work was also influenced by the scientific discoveries of the time, particularly in the fields of galvanism and anatomy. The idea of reanimating the dead, which was a topic of fascination among scientists and philosophers, would become a central theme in Frankenstein. Her writing would also reflect her fascination with the human condition as she explored the complexities of love, loss, and identity. As Mary Shelley navigated her early 20s, her relationship with Percy Bysshe Shelley deepened, and they eventually eloped in 1814. This period marked a significant turning point in her life, as she found herself immersed in a circle of intellectuals and artists who shared her passion for literature and radical ideas. The Shelleys' marriage was marked by both intense creative collaboration and personal turmoil, including the loss of their first child and Percy's ongoing infidelities. Despite these challenges, Mary continued to develop her writing skills, drawing inspiration from the natural world and the intellectual debates of the time. Her reading list during this period was eclectic and vast, encompassing everything from the works of William Godwin and Jean-Jacques Rousseau to the latest scientific discoveries in galvanism and anatomy. This broad range of interests would later become a hallmark of her writing style, as she wove together elements of science, philosophy, and literature to create complex, thought-provoking narratives. One of the most significant influences on Mary's work during this period was her exposure to the ideas of the Romantic movement. The Shelleys were close friends with many of the leading figures of the movement, including Lord Byron and John Keats, and Mary was deeply drawn to their emphasis on emotion, imagination, and the beauty of nature. At the same time, however, she was also aware of the limitations and criticisms of the Romantic approach, particularly its tendency towards sentimentality and escapism. This tension between the romantic ideal and the harsh realities of life would become a recurring theme in her work, as she struggled to balance her own creative ambitions with the demands of the world around her. As Mary's writing career began to take shape, she faced numerous challenges and controversies, including the skepticism of many male critics who doubted the ability of a woman to produce serious literature. Despite these obstacles, she persevered, driven by a fierce determination to make her mark on the literary world. Her relationship with Percy, too, was fraught with tension and competition, as both partners vied for recognition and acclaim in their respective fields. This complex web of personal and professional relationships would ultimately shape the course of Mary's life and work, influencing the themes and characters that she would explore in her writing. As Mary Shelley navigated her early 20s, her relationship with Percy Bysshe Shelley continued to be a crucible for her creative development. The couple's elopement in 1814 had marked a significant turning point in their lives, and they soon found themselves at the center of a circle of intellectuals and artists who shared their passion for literature and radical ideas. One of the key figures in this circle was Lord Byron, whose charismatic presence and poetic genius would have a profound impact on Mary's writing. During this period, Mary became increasingly fascinated with the idea of the sublime, which was a central concept in Romantic aesthetics. She saw the sublime as a way to express the intense emotions and powerful forces that shaped human experience, and she began to experiment with ways to capture this quality in her own writing. Her reading list during this time reflects this interest, with works by authors such as Anne Radcliffe and Matthew Lewis, who were known for their Gothic and supernatural themes. As Mary delved deeper into the world of literature, she also began to develop a keen sense of the social and cultural context in which she was writing. She was deeply aware of the limitations placed on women writers during this period, and she struggled to balance her own creative ambitions with the societal expectations that surrounded her. This tension would become a recurring theme in her work, as she explored the complexities of female identity and the ways in which women could assert their agency in a patriarchal society. One of the most significant works to emerge from this period was Mary's short story Matilda, which tells the tale of a young woman's doomed love affair with her father. This narrative would become a hallmark of Mary's writing style, as she explored the darker aspects of human nature and the ways in which societal norms could both constrain and liberate individual desire. The story is also notable for its use of the epistolary format, which allows the reader to experience the events of the narrative through a series of letters and diaries. As Mary continued to write and experiment with different forms and styles, she began to develop a distinctive voice that was both deeply personal and profoundly insightful. Her work was marked by a sense of intensity and passion, as well as a willingness to confront the darker aspects of human experience. This approach would ultimately set her apart from many of her contemporaries, and it would help to establish her as one of the most innovative and influential writers of her generation. The summer of 1816, which Mary spent with Percy and Lord Byron at Villa Diodati in Switzerland, would prove to be a pivotal moment in her creative development. This narrative would go on to become one of the most iconic and enduring works of Gothic horror, and it would cement Mary's reputation as a masterful storyteller and a bold innovator in the world of literature. As Mary worked on Frankenstein, she drew inspiration from a wide range of sources, including the latest scientific discoveries in galvanism and anatomy. She was fascinated by the idea of reanimating the dead, which was a topic of fascination among scientists and philosophers at the time. This interest is reflected in the novel, as the creature is brought to life through a series of electrical shocks and chemical reactions. The result is a work that is both a thrilling tale of horror and a profound exploration of the human condition, with all its complexities and contradictions. The writing process was not without its challenges, however. Mary struggled to balance her creative ambitions with the demands of her personal life, including her relationship with Percy and the pressures of societal expectation. She also faced criticism and skepticism from many of her contemporaries, who doubted the ability of a woman to produce serious literature. As Frankenstein began to take shape, Mary's relationships with her contemporaries became increasingly complex. Her friendship with Lord Byron in particular was marked by a deep sense of admiration and respect, as well as a growing awareness of the limitations and flaws of his character. This tension would ultimately find its way into the novel, as Mary explored the complexities of male identity and the ways in which societal norms could both shape and constrain individual desire. The historical context in which Mary was writing also played a significant role in shaping her work. Mary's writing reflects this context as she explored the tensions between reason and emotion, nature and culture, and individual desire and societal expectation. As Frankenstein neared completion, Mary felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that she had never experienced before. She knew that she had created something truly remarkable, a work that would challenge and provoke her readers in equal measure. And yet, she was also aware of the risks involved, including the possibility of criticism and rejection from the literary establishment. Despite these doubts, Mary remained committed to her vision, and she continued to refine and revise her manuscript until it was ready for publication. Her work continues to challenge us, to provoke us, and to inspire us to confront the darker aspects of our nature. In the end, it is not the creature that defines us, but our capacity for empathy, compassion, and love. As Mary Shelley so eloquently wrote, "The world has no sympathy with anything but pain and suffering, and yet it is in the face of that suffering that we find our greatest triumphs." Like this episode, if it hit true, share it if you respect honest talk about authors. Subscribe, because we'll do this again. This is Ernest, signing off.